Division has a line between prospect and contender, and on Saturday night, Vinicius Oliveira ran into that line. Oliveira came into this fight as the big finisher. The exciting prospect expected to bring more chaos to the bantamweight division, but Mario Bautista never allowed that fight to exist. He took control early and dictated where every exchange took place. And what we saw at the Apex wasn't Mario Bautista arriving, it was confirmation. The kind of performance that tells you he's already operating like a contender, something people paying attention to the division already understood. Because this fight wasn't really about the scrambles, the control, or even the submission, it was about how difficult it is to break into the bantamweight division at all. At this level, the difference between prospect and contender isn't talent, it's self-control. And this fight showed exactly how wide that gap can be. And the first place that gap showed up was when Mario Bautista in the opening exchanges showed just how dynamic he was. He wasn't there and he wasn't going to just strike with Vinicius Oliveira. I mean, who can blame him? The guy hits like a Mack truck. I mean, you get one hit from Vinicius Oliveira and you are lights out. The dude is, he's a sledgehammer. And for Mario Bautista to say, hey, I'm gonna stand here with you when I know I can beat you on the ground, because Mario Bautista, very good on the ground. When he has that ability, like, why would you show the hubris of Icarus flying too close to the sun? Why would you show that? No, do what you do best, grapple, go out, win. That's the trick. It really isn't that hard. And Mario Bautista showed it wasn't that hard. And it's not like Bautista went in there, he's like, oh, I can strike with you, I can grapple with you. He said, no. As a matter of fact, I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna grapple with you. I have no shame in winning a fight that a lot of people will find boring. Think back to the Aldo fight, how he was content to hold Aldo against the cage for long periods of time. That's what Mario Bautista's good at. When he needs to turn it up against like an Umar Nurmagomedov, he turned it up and he was hurting Umar at one point. Mario Bautista's a very good fighter. People love to hate on him because of the Aldo fight and how beloved Jose Aldo is. But Mario Bautista is a banger of a fighter, one of the best in the world, and he proved it against Vinicius Oliveira. He showed that, hey, there are, like, as horrible as the old saying is, he showed, hey, there are levels to this, guys. There are levels to this, and I am above everyone else below me. Like, that sounds like kind of contradictory, but like, he's better than Ricky Simon. He's better than Vinicius Oliveira. All these guys underneath him in the top 10, like, he's up in the top 5 or top whatever he's at for a reason, because he's a very good fighter. He didn't, I say he held his own against an Umar Nurmagomedov. He sadly lost that fight, sure. But he held his own. He created scrambles against a very tough scrambling wrestler. One who's prioritizing control. So when you go up against a guy who's obviously way bigger than him in Vinicius Oliveira, he's going to use those skills. He's going to show that, hey, I've improved grappling. He needs to show that anyway. And he did. He did. The scrambles in this were just incredible, man. I mean, there were moments in this fight where, Vinicius Oliveira is no slouch himself when it comes to the scrambling department. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. He was throwing up some heel hooks. He was throwing up triangles. A lot of stuff that Bautista was keen on, sure, but he made Bautista work for it. And Mario Bautista did work for it. When he got on top, though, he was just crushing the ground and pound. Like, he's constantly looking for damage. That's the problem with, we'll talk about him later, Gelton Almeida. That is the problem with him. You got to search for damage. You can't just lay on top of somebody. That's why everybody's upset with Khamzat Chimaev right now, because he didn't do anything against Dricus du Plessis. You want to be the Khabib style, where you're constantly looking for damage. Okay, you're going to improve your position. Time to just break you down again, and then I'm punching on you again. That's exactly how Khabib does it. Now, I'm not saying Mario Bautista is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Exactly the opposite, actually. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as him or Umar. In that department, I do think there's a world where Mario Bautista can beat Umar Nurmagomedov. But yeah, the scrambles were great. There was a moment where Vinicius Oliveira threw up a triangle. And we've had 2 submission triangles in the UFC last year, right? In 2025. It's not a high percentage submission. It's really not. But Bautista, he recognized it early. Obviously, it's a common submission. He recognized it early, and he cut his corner and improved his position off of the bad triangle shot. There was the heel hook. He wasn't concerned that his leg was caught up with Vinicius Oliveira at all. He's like, I'm not worried about heel hooks. we're not there yet, you know? Heel hooks aren't the boogeyman anymore unless you're fighting Walter Walker, who will snatch him up quick. Vinicius left his knees. First, like, Mario Bautista grabs the leg. He's trying to pull it across. Because if you don't know, like, with a heel hook, you got to kind of keep your knees pinched to isolate their knee. That way you can get the torque on it. So he's like, okay, well, if you want your knees pinched, I'm just going to move your leg to the other side and not worry about it. That didn't work, so he turned away, and then he brought his foot on the inside and kind of floated his hips on the top. Beautiful. Beautiful. Then there was the Mario Bautista getting taken down by Vinicius Oliveira, and, you know, he feeds the leg through and flips him over. He put him in a crucifix, you know? And then once he managed to, you know, get the back, and there's moments in the fight where Vinicius Oliveira is scraping him against the fence, and he's like, hey, I'm giving it up right here, because we know, like, if I'm on your back and you're standing up against the fence, I can scrape my back against the fence, against the wall, and you'll come off of me. Batista's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep the control instead of letting you get what you need to do. The scrambles were great. Managed to get on the back, and I've never seen a rear naked choke tap to so fast. And Vinicius Oliveira did not stop tapping until the ref let go. Like, he was tap, 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 tap. And, like, that's no, you know, hate to Bautista, because Vinicius Oliveira, you know, he's dangerous, so you got to make sure that the ref calls the fight off. And we've seen Big Dan earlier, like, letting fights go on for way too long. But what we saw from Mario Bautista was a I'm him moment, and I'm a contender that's going to be around for a while. Now, he called out Corey Sandhagen. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, no, you know, Corey's a bad fight. Corey will probably maul him. I think Corey's a much more competitive fight than it was the first time. Remember, that was short notice. That was debut for Mario Bautista. Corey Sandhagen's a good bit older now. When was that fight? Let's look it up real quick, because, you know, it's time is the thief of everything. And if Mario Bautista kind of, you know, can't handle what he has, you know, you really can't got much of anything. But when you look at Bautista then and you look at him now, like, he's become a much better fighter. Let's see. Corey Sandhagen, yeah, he got armbarred in the first round. That was in 2019. That's a long time ago, guys. That's 7 years ago, just about. Yeah, I find it hard to believe that fight wouldn't be different from the first one. Mario Bautista's a well-rounded fighter. He's got great kicks. He's really good, and Corey Sandhagen's kind of not what he used to be. I like that call out from Mario Bautista. I think that's one there. But, you know, I don't hate the fight, and bantamweight's very clogged. So, you know, he might have to fight Amin Zahabi, which he would destroy. He would beat the brakes off of Zahabi, or Cheeto Vera. That'd be another good name for you to beat up. Sandhagen, if you can't get that fight, you're going to have to go and find somebody else. Just keep beating up people that everybody likes. Like, Cheeto Vera's the perfect fight for him. He doesn't want Song Yadong. He said he can sit on that loss. I get it. You want to fight up. But bantamweight's so clogged right now, you might have to fight down. That's just all there is to it. And that's where the bigger picture kind of comes in. That's where, you know, bantamweight is such a clogged division, and Mario Bautista's just right in that mix. And you kind of got a similar situation in the division low at flyweight, being so very, very congested, especially with Joshua Van at the top now. And you've got Kyoji Horiguchi just added to the mix in an already crowded division. Horiguchi defeated Amir Albazi via unanimous decision. And when I say, like, defeated, I don't mean like, oh, you know, he fought his way to a good. No, he beat the daylights out of Amir Albazi. And if you don't love the Gooch, you just unsubscribe and get the heck out of here, because you're not worth anything. We love Kyoji Horiguchi. I am so passionate about Horiguchi. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's going to be a feature in one of my new upcoming premium video articles about karate and MMA, where we'll be talking about Machida, Stephen Thompson, Whitaker, and Kyoji Horiguchi. That's what we're going to be talking about. And you watch Horiguchi, he's such a welcome addition to this division. I tweeted it, and I said something along the lines of, like, UFC really kind of let him go. They lowballed him, and he decided to go to Ryzen, where he can make a fair amount of wage. And we missed out on Horiguchi versus Figueiredo, Moreno, Petr Yan, Brandon Moreno, Sean O'Malley, you know, Merab. You know, we missed out on all these great fights. And we'll get one or two of them, sure, but we'll never get them back, all of them. Like, Horiguchi should have been around for forever. Like, 'cause if you remember, he was like 19, 20 years old when he first fought for the title against Demetrius Johnson. Then he goes off to Ryzen and has some amazing fights. If you haven't watched, like, the Caldwell fights and and the Kaya Sakura fights. Like, Kyoji Horiguchi's great. He fought Tenshin Nasukawa in kickboxing and held his own. Horiguchi's great. Adding him to this division can only mean great things for the flyweight division. Joshua Van's at the top, and boy, let me tell you, that's a good fight. But you've got like Tatsuro Taira, Manel Kape. You've got these new guys. Then you have the old guard. You've got, Brandon Royval. You've got Brendan Moreno. You got Figueiredo. Well, Figueiredo's not there anymore. But you know what I mean. Like, you got these old guys, Pantoja. And there's so many good fights for him there. And like, you can't have them all. But the ones we do get, where it's like, oh, okay. Like the next fight. Because he's fought Tagir Ulanbekov and Amir Albazi. And let's be honest, those fights, not that good. I mean, they're great because Horiguchi did his thing, sure. But, man, you watch him fight a Brandon Moreno or Lonnie Kavanaugh, who's fighting upcoming soon, right? You watch him fight them. It's not an easy fight for Brandon Moreno to fight a Horiguchi. Like, Kyoji Horiguchi is just faster than Brandon Moreno. Tatsuro Taira, what are you going to do on the feet, bro? Nothing. And Horiguchi scrambles are great. I'm not saying he's Taira level good, but he might be. Manel Kape, not faster than Manel Kape. Or Manel Kape's not faster than Horiguchi. No. Not even in the least bit. Kyoji Horiguchi is a welcome addition. And we do have to be careful here. Because, like, Amir Albazi is a decent win. But remember, he's riding a highly ranked win over a kind of bad Kai Kara-France. Like, Kai Kara-France is not that good. I am the biggest Kai Kara-France hater, actually, if you want to know the truth. He sucks. He's not that good of a fighter, and Albazi fought him to a close fight. Now, if you're fighting Kai Kara-France to a close fight, that's a problem. But at the time, Kara-France was ranked 5. So Albazi here, he comes and he fights, Kara-France and wins, gets a highly ranked opponent or a highly ranked fight, and then he has to come back. It was a split decision, fight Brandon Moreno after, a back injury or whatever it was. He's a good fighter, but he just got beat up by Brandon Moreno. So you're looking at him and you're like, man, what good is this guy? What does he have for him? What does he bring to the table? Amir Albazi doesn't bring much to the table, if anything at all. He doesn't bring anything, really. He's not that great of a fighter. This was a fight tailor-made for Kyoji Horiguchi to shine. And shine he did. Hurt Albazi several times. Only thing he didn't do was get the finish. Now, Kyoji Horiguchi, he's not quite there for a title shot. He's on the cusp with flyweight, like I said, with bantamweight being very clogged divisions. He's almost there. He can fight whoever Van doesn't fight. There's Tatsuro Taira, Pantoja, and Manel Kape all at the top. All three of those guys deserve a title shot, sure. Horiguchi can fight whoever Joshua Van doesn't fight. Should be Taira in Japan, but, Or Manel Kape. Oh, my gosh. You put Manel Kape, Ryzen versus Ryzen in Japan, that's the fight that needs to happen. Like, that's a banger of a fight. Two guys, very good fighters. Horiguchi styles on Manel Kape, bro. I'm not big on Manel Kape. He's a banger, but I don't think he got anything for Gooch. I don't think so, at least. But yeah, I really think, if I had my way, dude, he'd be fighting Joshua Van right now. And I say that as like a fan, sure, but I also say that as like a styles make fights, and man, Joshua Van versus Kyoji Horiguchi is a fight. If we don't get, that is a crying shame. It's another crime. And this fight game, the divisional movement is only like part of the story. Once like a fight starts, you have to, it comes down to execution. And when you watch like Michal, Oleksiejczuk, and Marc-Andre Barriault, it's the perfect example of how like game plans can shift and evolve. That fight, I enjoyed that fight. Now, I'm a Michal Oleksiejczuk fan. Did a film study on him before. He's a fun fighter. Not the best in the world, but he's still an interesting fighter. And Marc-Andre Barriault is a tough son of a gun. But Michal Oleksiejczuk beat him by unanimous decision. Looks very good. The first round, he has a great game plan. He's going to stick him on the end of the jab. He's going to cross, and he's going to hit the body. Marc-Andre Barriault can come on strong late. So we need to hit the body early. And Michal Oleksiejczuk did that. That's exactly what you want to do. hit the body early. It wasn't very good, you know. His striking didn't look amazing. He's double reaching, pulling the guard down, and really just not staying at home with his defense. Bad defensively, sure. Effective, I mean, against Marc-Andre Barriault, it was, you know. So, like, who's to blame him? Who's to blame him? And these strikes they're fantastic. He's really working on him, and he's really kind of just beating up Marc-Andre Barriault. But then round 2 happens. Round 2. Oh my gosh. Marc-Andre Barriault just comes alive. He starts reaching for the collar tie, starts clinching, it starts beating the daylights out of Michal Oleksiejczuk. I mean, just battering him from pillar to post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5, a bunch of punch combinations. Like, great. And you're like, oh man, this fight's slipping away from Michal Oleksiejczuk. And it was cool because like you don't get to see too much dirty boxing in the UFC. But Oleksiejczuk kept like letting Marc-Andre Barriault fall into the clinch. And I'm thinking to myself, like, as a Michal Oleksiejczuk fan, like, bro, this is falling away from us. This ain't good. And it wasn't. Like he was getting battered up. He was bloodied up. You know, I'm thinking to myself, oof. After that second round, I'm thinking to myself, like, he needs some adjustments. He needs some big adjustments because that ain't it, Chief. That wasn't good. And you know, his corner gives him great advice. You know, if you fall into a clinch, grab his wrist because there's the collar tie hand, and then there's the hand up puncher. Boom, boom. They say grab his wrist so he can't punch, and get out of the clinch. Now, granted, Marc-Andre Barriault did a good job against Oleksiejczuk in that third round of, okay, well, you're going to grab my hand and you're going to want to break. Fine, watch yourself on the break. Eventually, he did manage to rally himself back into this third round. You know, he rallied himself back and started to, you know, do enough damage on Marc-Andre Barriault. But it was that small detail, you know, oh, I'm going to fall into the clinch with Marc-Andre Barriault. What should I do? Maybe I grab his punching hand. And if he lets go to punch me with the collar tie, I can get away. It's brilliant, isn't it? Like, it's just a little adjustment. Made that fight much more tolerable for him, and it gave us 3 different rounds. No clinching Marc-Andre Barriault, Barriault clinching, and Oleksiejczuk fighting the clinch. Beautiful. Great game plan. I was thoroughly pleased. I thought that, you know, slowing down Marc-Andre Barriault to where Oleksiejczuk can manage the fight really turned the tide in that third round and swung the fight in his favor. Now, some fighters, you know, they win because they make the right adjustments and the right choices in a fight. Others win because they create kinds of fights. And Dustin Jacoby creates those kind of fights. He's made a career on being exactly that kind of fighter. He knocked out Julius Walker in round 2 of UFC Vegas 113. I like Dustin Jacoby, guys. Light heavyweight's not a good division. Not a good division at all. I don't think it's a fun division. I don't think it's a division, you know, you've got some good guys at the top, and that's about it. Mid-level fights is almost as bad as heavyweight, you know. But Dustin Jacoby is like a shining example of how good a fighter can be. You know, he fought in Glory. He's a really good fighter. Famously fought Alex Pereira in Glory and got knocked out in like 2 minutes, but still, you know, he's fought Pereira. And Pereira after the fight was like kind of, you know, hey, that was cool, man. I like seeing the former Glory guys win. But many underestimate like how good Dustin Jacoby is in these last 3 fights. He's won, you know, he's shown how good he can be. He's got heavy hands. He can hit. He can put you out. And he's not easy to take down either. And as a kickboxer, one would think, oh, this guy, we got to make sure we can take him down. That's the plan, right? And Dustin Jacoby does a good job of, you know, stalling the fight just long enough to where either, you know, might be a break or you know, he can slowly work his way up and negate any extra damage and extend the fight. He does a good job of that. You know, Julius Walker, he did try that grappling game plan against Dustin Jacoby in the first round. He had no luck. Jacoby, you know, he got taken down, but he managed to get himself to the fence and start wall walking up where, you know, Julius Walker held him there for extended periods. He was, you know, working on him and stuff. And I even tweeted at the time, I was like, yo, that was a good round for Julius Walker, but Jacoby's not out of this. And he wasn't. we've seen Jacoby rally late. He rallied not late necessarily, but second round, but yeah. Big Dan needs to be fired if you missed the finish. Like, Jacoby put him out maybe 2 or 3 times. Like, Dan Miragliotta let that fight go on too long. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but, like, the horrible referee is going to get somebody very, very, very hurt. They're teammates, they were teammates. They've trained together. And it would have been terrible if something bad happened to Julius Walker. Thank God it didn't. But that was absolutely horrible. Now, for Jacoby, what's next? I do like the Jamal Hill fight a lot. Hill's coming off of 3 straight losses, and you want to get Jacoby a ranked fight. I mean, get him a top 10 fight, dude. The dude's good. He's fun. Let's see if Jamal Hill has what it takes to beat a Dustin Jacoby. Or if you want, that's a little too high for you. You want something else. Alexander Rakic is riding 4 straight losses, which one was an injury, but still. Rakic got decent striking, and I think he could bring a fun fight to Jacoby. So, all in all, though, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Rizvan Kuniev and Jailton Almeida was absolutely dreadful. Almeida kind of didn't get to wrestle against Kuniev. Kuniev did a good job of negating the wrestling attacks that Almeida did. The shots from too far out. Coming from a Sanda background, like, Kuniev was game on that. And he didn't throw any offense. Instead, he's getting leaned on against the fence. Almeida, that is. He's getting leaned on against the fence and looking at the ref like, hey, please save me. You're not going to win fights that way, bro. You're not going to win fights laying on top of anybody anymore. And you're not going to win fights just by looking at the ref. Jailton Almeida might be the worst heavyweight ever. Not ever, but he might be one of the worst heavyweights in the division right now. And there's only like 36 of them in there. Almeida's terrible. He needs to be cut. A reality check of sorts. Like, let's lower the stakes for him. Let's get this reality check. Let's, make sure you can cut it in this company, because it doesn't seem like it. You don't seem like you want to fight. Fighting like a coward. And I get Jailton Almeida. He's a great grappler and all that. And you watch like Mario Bautista, and you're like, okay, I can see how grappling can work with a fighter that wants to fight. You watch like a Jailton Almeida grappling performance, and you watch a Mario Bautista or an Islam or whoever, and you compare those two, it's like completely different thing. Even throw Marab in there with the cardio takedowns and stuff, like, it's completely different. Jailton Almeida is fighting to not fight. These guys are actually trying to fight. So, yeah, I don't like Jailton Almeida, guys, and they keep putting him on main cards for whatever reason. Get him on the first fight of the night so I don't have to watch it ever again. Jesus Christ. Farad Basharat and John Matsumoto had a really fun fight. Matsumoto's good, his second loss, but Basharat, Farad, he's the good one. He looked good too. Very close fight. He got booed, and he's like, hey, at least I brought you guys a good fight. So, Daniil Dunchenko beat up Alex Morono. Morono's a great game planner, man, but it might be time for him to go. Nikolai Varenikov knocked out Nico Price. Good Lord, Nico Price needs to go. 16-10 now, dude. If you go back and look at like what Price has done, he's not looked good since the man. Like, I'm going back as far as I can. Since 2018, he's looked horrible. He lost to Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Tim Means he beat. Lost to Jeff Neal. Beats James Vick. Lost to Vicente Luque. Did he beat Cowboy? Yeah, he beat Cowboy, but it turned into a no contest. Lost to Michel Pereira. Beat Alex Oliveira, who was horrible. Lost to Phil Rowe. Lost to Robbie Lawler. Beat Alex Morono. Lost to Tim Bergerimbo. Jacoby Smith. And now Varenikov. Like, it's time Nico Price to hang him up or just get out of this company. They might have to cut their losses because he's going to get hurt, man. Like, he's going to get hurt bad. Ketlin Souza beat Bruno Brazil. Javid Basharat, the other Basharat brother, beat Gianni Vasquez. Now, Vasquez, dude, he was interesting. He had some really good attacks from his back, and he kind of made the fight interesting. This was a short notice fight for Vasquez, and I'm excited to see him back in the UFC because he's a promising fighter. Kong Wang, really cool. She was punching the body. We talked about this in next week's episode with Vince Morales about punching the body and stuff. So it was cool to see Kong Wang do it, and you'll be able to get that episode next Sunday, I believe. Jacob Wilklatz, just beat Patchy Mix via split decision. Choked out Gafarov, guillotine at 4:59, And then Claudia Segula defeated Priscilla Cachoeira. Thank God. I forgot. They can't put Jelton Almeida last because Priscilla Cachoeira has to be last. She is horrible. She is 1-4. If Priscilla Cachoeira is still fighting in the UFC, we need to boycott this part because it's terrible. Oh, my gosh. Anyways, guys, yes, thank y'all all for listening. And Fight Finders, check it out. I'm working on some new episodes now. Didn't quite get the dirty boxing like I'd hoped, but we got some cool stuff in the works, so check it out. The playlist is right here to catch up on 1 through 8.